This is Sizzle, powered by Fit to be Trained, coming to you from the Deep End Broadcasting Network studios here in the lovely Virginia Beach, Virginia, in the United States of America. Want to be part of the 30-day or 60-day transformation? Contact Karen, aka Sizzle, on any of her social media platforms. Now here's your host of Sizzle, Karen Dougherty.
I like that new clap. Sounds like we're at a talk show, you know? It does. It sounds very like we're really professionals. Thank you, Steve, so much. I hope you're having a good day. How is your day so far?
It's going good.
Good.
Me too. Very busy.
Me too. That's good, I guess. Yeah. Me too. I've been busy too.
Sarcastic.
Oh, okay. That's good too. I mean, busy. I'm busy checking the back of your eyelids. Yeah. That's what I always call it. Exactly. Checking the back of our eyelids. But wait a minute. You said we were just talking about different sleep patterns, and I do want to bring this up because I think some people get discouraged with their sleep patterns. And Steve and I were just talking about it because I kept waking up in the middle of the night. And so I started just adhering to it. I was like, all right, I'm going to get up in the middle of the night. I'm going to be awake for an hour. I actually get stuff done now. I gave into it. Then I usually go back to sleep, fall asleep, and then I have to be up again early for work. So I'm usually training by 6. So I get to go back to sleep. It's not very long, but I've learned to, instead of fight it, because I think our culture wants us to sleep at night and be awake during the day. Sometimes I get to have a nap during the day. So I think in the end, I'm getting the right amount of hours. And so granted, if you're shortening your hours by these weird sleep cycles, then that's no good. But give in. If you're getting your hours in, don't let culture tell you, a lot of us work where you have to be at work 8 hours a day. Mine's early morning and evening. I can nap even sometimes during the day. So,
well, you know me, I'm Mr. Conspiracy Theorist and everything like that. If you actually read some of the things going on in the world, there seems to be a lot of people who are having sleep issues at the moment.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
Yeah,
I think stress and the blue light on our TVs and our phones and stuff. I think that messes with us.
Did you notice? The whole country got hit by this recent snowstorm,
right?
Not the one of a day ago, or 2 days ago.
Yeah, the one a couple weeks.
Yeah, but the one about like 10 days ago or whatever it was.
And that was a weird week. That whole week was.
Did you notice that snow was weird at all?
Yeah,
did you have any opinion of that snow?
Oh, the actual consistency of it.
Yeah. There are people who swear that there's something weird, like very conspiracy going on with that snow. Like people would try to melt it, and they couldn't melt it.
Oh,
how about that?
Local here,
and it would glisten, kind of like in a metal type fashion, almost in a way. And it's just very powdery. You just never see that kind of snow like that. It's usually thicker, and
that makes me really wish that I went outside, because I was lucky enough to be up. I here in Virginia, you had to be up early Sunday morning to see it, because it didn't last long. It was gone by 9-10 o'clock, wouldn't you say?
Mm-hmm.
And I wish I would have went outside and touched it or whatever. So no, I can't say that I noticed. I just know it wasn't very deep. We didn't get a lot of it, but that's very interesting.
Well, there's a lot of people with the same symptoms of this. So a lot of people have been sick, right? And they've been sick for multiple weeks, like with this flu type of deal.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard anything about this or looked into this at all. But growing up, right, when we were sick, like what's the longest we were sick for? Like on our deathbed sick, like strep throat.
Oh, a couple days.
Yeah, 4 or 5 days, right? Now people are complaining about being sick for weeks and weeks at a time now, which never, ever used to be the case. So it just kind of makes you think
things that make you go,
how are you sick for like this long? type of deal.
Well, what are you alluding, that you suspect that we are just not as healthy as a culture, or that there is?
Well, there's a lot of the conspiracists. A lot of them will blame cloud seeding and the chemtrails.
That's what I was wondering.
That you see. I don't know how.
That's what I was trying to.
Much you get into the chemtrail stuff or not.
I'm just here on my podcast with you and Sherry. Taught me a bit about it.
Was she talking about it?
Yeah, you and Sherry were, and I got to hear, because chemtrails and stuff like that, and stuff in the atmosphere
and breathing as well. I mean, now
is asthma more now? We have more cases of asthma.
Now, I've had issues breathing, and I'll contribute that to just being out of shape myself. But
well, I definitely
there are a lot of people out there saying that they're having a hard time catching their breath. It just seems like there's a lot
after the snowstorm. Is that what I'm trying to draw out of you?
All you gotta do is look at any kind of post about being sick or anything like that, and just start reading through the comments. And I mean, these are comments coming from all over the world.
Wow.
But someone even in the Caribbean was like, look, I live on a small island. We're all healthy all the time. We're all completely fine all the time. And now all of a sudden, nobody can breathe down here.
Oh my goodness.
So
wow.
What?
Yeah.
That makes you think a little bit.
Things that make you go, That was a good song, by the way. Well, so it does. It does.
Your
make you wonder.
Thought of the day.
That's cute. I don't mind it one bit.
And a lot of it has to do with
need to think about
the sleep patterns being off as a big
one. And sleep patterns. Yeah, mine I've learned to accept, because I don't know that now I've gotten into such a pattern, and some of my best work is done at 3:00 in the morning. So I don't mind it. I've gotten used to it. I wouldn't even want it to go away, but I do understand that it could be things in the atmosphere for sure, that we're all experiencing change or stress of the environment, and that's kind of what kind of ties into this episode, because I really thought that I wanted to talk about mobility, because mobility is so important. And then I kind of went down a rabbit hole, and I was kind of going through time, because I was thinking of Jack LaLanne, who was the grandfather or godfather or whatever of exercise. And back in the 50s, he had a show, and he would his audience were housewives, and they would do leg lifts, and some of them would even have their little high heel kitten shoes on. It was the 1950s, and the husband's at work and mom's home, and kind of leave it to Beaver kind of situation. She might not be dressed as nice as Mrs. Beaver on the TV show, but the ladies that were taking the show or that he would film, they would have little high heels on, and you're just going out in 1, 2, and doing leg lifts. And I really believe that those kind of exercises, just mobility stuff, some stuff would be in the chair, some stuff up against the wall. And, that's how exercise started. And then we got more and more intense with our exercise, and life changed as well. So I went down this rabbit hole, and I was doing research on mobility and its background, and I kind of started to get into women, men, through the decades. Like in the 1950s is when that TV show was out. Well, things changed through the 50s, 60s, and 70s. 80s is when exercise really came about. So I wanted to kind of go through that timeline and go through the male female stuff too, because if you think about through the decades how male female roles have changed so much too. In the 1950s, women were home more. So what I wanted to know in my research was, were they getting more exercise at home? Being a housewife and a mother takes a lot of energy, trust me. Or were they getting more energy going to work, going out of the house, walking? Was their job, what kind of jobs were they getting and doing? So, did that make them move more? So I was just curious. So it was cool, with Chat GPT, this glorified Google that we have here, it breaks everything down. I mean, I'm just having such a ball with research. I've always been a research person, and now with Chat GPT, it makes it really fun. So here we go. I'm going to go right into the decades. So 1950s movement through the decades, how we went from naturally mobile to sitting ourselves stiff, so now 2026 is very different. So 1950s, life was a workout. Women were mostly at home, but doing 4 to 6 hours of physical housework daily, laundry, scrubbing floors, cooking, walking everywhere, because most families had one car. And Jack LaLanne was on TV teaching mobility, posture, standing exercises, stuff like that. Mostly housewives was the audience, and there weren't gym memberships. There wasn't anything like that. Men were a majority worked manual labor, so the factories, farming, construction, lifting, carrying, walking, climbing, very little sitting. And then there were also the ones that were more at their desks. That's a whole different. I even researched the guys that were more in finance, banking. Those guys were still at their desk, but I think in general, the population was definitely a little more mobile. So, I mean, mobile themselves, 1960s, the first shift begins. Women entering the workforce, early jobs were active teaching, nursing, retail, service, still doing most housework though on top of it. Because I always joke around, I'm like, the women's movement, we got screwed because now we got to go to work and do all the housework. So still doing it, and Jack LaLanne is still doing his TV show. Men are still in the physical jobs, but there's more machinery, slightly less manual, but still far more active than today. And then we still got the white collar, the more white collar, the bankers. They're still sitting at their desks. So there were a lot of jobs that were sedentary for the men a lot earlier. So then the 70s, aerobics, bell bottoms, and still moving. Women were doing aerobics, dance-based fitness, doing a mix of workout and housework. I remember that. There were literally workouts that you could use your vacuum cleaner and you'd do a lunge and you'd come back. And, I had girlfriends that were cleaning houses for a living, and they were some of the fittest girls, because that's active. They still are, not just back in the 70s, because that's such an active job. Daily life still required a lot of bending, lifting, and walking. And I'm still in the women. Now, men, physical jobs are still common. I mean, construction is construction, but office work begins to grow. More sitting than before, still far less than today. So if you notice that, it always ends with still far less than today for the men. They were moving. So the men every decade are slowing down. So now we're in the 80s, the fitness boom. This is when I get to, I graduate high school and now I'm in it. The fitness boom meets the desk job boom. The 80s. Remember that? That's when yuppies came. Remember the members only jackets and yeah.
I had one.
And everybody did. I had one too. I got to wear those nice clothes. My dad provided for us. And even though, like I always joke, I was in private sleepover school.
that was one of the original knockoffs of like fake, like counterfeit clothing and stuff like that.
You are right. Members only. Yes. Because people would try and knock it off, didn't they? Mm-hmm. What about those pants? Remember those Hammer Time? I never got to wear those. They were never my style, but there was some fitness people that did get into them. Some of the workouts, some of the guys got into those more loose. They had some, I don't know that brand, but they had some knockoffs too. Oh my gosh, that's funny. Back to the 80s. Jane Fonda's on the scene now. Step aerobics. Karen Dougherty's running classes in Jersey, group classes. I wonder if it doesn't say anything about Jack LaLanne. Jack LaLanne was gone in the 70s, maybe. But anyway, more women in office jobs. So definitely, like, that was my time, and I always wanted a career, and that was definitely something we could do. Like, I was working in office, like accounts receivable, accounts payable in my senior year in high school, and then on, and finding my way. And then I went to college and all the part-time jobs. But all of us were in. There was even a movie called Working Girl for you ladies that was Melanie Griffith. That was such a great movie, and that was kind of us breaking out of the role and becoming career women. It was such a good movie. I loved it. But okay, so, and what's going on with the men? Let's see. Oh, the men's office culture explodes. Computers enter the workplace. Sedentary time jumps. Blue collar jobs still active, but increasingly supported by machinery. Got you. Mobility takeaway. For the first time, people had to schedule movement because life wasn't providing enough. That was in the 1980s. So that's when personal training came on the scene, and we started, making careers out of fitness. Wowza, that's cool. Okay, so now we're in the 90s. The internet arrives, and so does sitting. More desk jobs, less movement at home for the girls. Home, thanks to convenience culture. So I'll repeat that. Less movement at home thanks to the convenience culture. So fitness becomes something you fit in, not something life gives you anymore. And for the men, the tech jobs are exploding. Sitting becomes the default. Stress increases. Movement decreases. Blue collar work becomes more machine assisted, less physical. Mobility takeaway. The body starts paying the price. Tight hips, stiff backs, less natural movement. And 90s was a big yoga era. That was for me, at least. I did a lot of yoga. That's when I got into the hot yoga, Bikram yoga, the 90s, early 2000s. And that's probably why, because like the body starts paying the price, the tight hips, the stiff backs, less natural movement. That's interesting. I knew I was going to like this once I went down that rabbit hole with time, because I can that's when I learned Pilates too, was the 90s, because of an injury. Our backs were getting tighter. I'm skipping ahead here. Sorry. Yep. I got excited. Okay, 2000s, convenience culture takes over. Women, online shopping, food delivery, modern appliances, less daily movement. Fitness becomes more structured. Yoga, Pilates, strength classes. Men are remote work begins, more screen time, less physical labor. Back in the 2000s, remote? I didn't know that. Gyms become the main source of movement for many. Mobility takeaway. Life becomes easier, but bodies become stiffer. 2010, sitting is the new smoking. Women, sedentary jobs dominate. Rise of the boutique fitness. Mobility becomes a buzzword. Men, CrossFit, obstacle races, functional fitness rise, but daily movement still low. Pain becomes a common motivator for seeking help. Pain becomes a common motivator for seeking help. God, that's so true, because I was in CrossFit and I was starting to get hurt, not because of CrossFit, but because of it, because of myself, because of my competitiveness, and not worried about mobility and posture as much when I was younger, and just taking on more than I could. So yeah, pain becomes a common motivator for seeking help. Wow, this is cool. Mobility takeaway. People realize strength without mobility is a trap. I don't think I realized it, not back in the 2010s. I mean, I was doing physical therapy for injuries and stuff, but I still was thinking that I was getting enough or getting what I needed. Okay, here we are, 2020s to 26. Women want to feel good, not just look good. Mobility, recovery, and sustainable training become priorities. Aging well becomes a lifestyle. I would say this is pretty point on. Men, a huge shift. Men finally embracing mobility, recovery, and pain prevention. Jobs are more sedentary than ever. Blue collar work is less physical due to all the automation, and men want to stay athletic, not just muscular. Mobility takeaway. We've come full circle, and mobility isn't new. We just forgot it. I liked that. I liked that a lot. And I think it was really on point because I've been getting more men lately. I've been getting men in my mobility classes virtually, which is really cool because those are 30-minute classes. They're online, on demand. You can do them whenever. It's just me in my garage or right now in my living room because it's warmer. And I go through like a simple mobility mat class, and there's chair work twice. It's cool, but I'm getting a lot of men on that one. And then on the reformer, that's becoming, I think this trending with the reformer, men are seeing more, it's just because there's more commercials. They're seeing it and going, or physical therapists. A lot of times I get my people from physical therapists, and men are more open to it. Were women more like it really sounded like women were more active, or I'm sorry, women, let me take a breath here. I'm stuttering. Talking point. Were women more or less active when they started working? So more active in some ways, because I think of the real estate agents, a lot of female jobs. A lot of female jobs were like waiting tables, bartending. I did bartending on the side. That was pretty active. Waitressing, that sort of thing, very active. And that was always something I did on the side with any job, whether I was going to college, which was sedentary, but we were just getting more and more freedom. So with more and more freedom, we're getting more and more sedentary if you think about it. It's interesting. So like it said earlier, mobility isn't new. We just forgot about it because back in the 50s, that's all we were really doing for exercise. Mobility tie-in. Mobility used to be, we can move mobility into our regular life. Like obviously right now it's winter, so squatting in the garden isn't really happening right now. And the country's under a big blanket of snow, but not everywhere. But let's face it, I know a lot of people that really enjoy spending time in their yards, and that counts as mobility, squatting, moving. But you want to be able to do that with ease and care. So stretching is such a big deal. Carrying laundry, reaching, bending, twisting, walking everywhere. That helps. People do really worry about their step count now, that helps. That helps a lot. Now we train mobility because life no longer gives it to us. That's interesting. So we really have to like add in yoga, add in Pilates, adding stretch class. Now they have the stretch lab. You go there for an appointment and somebody stretches you. But mobility isn't a trend. I hope not. It needs to really be here because I think I can get as strong as I want. But if I'm not moving mobile and graceful, that's where injury comes in. So here's some fun, quick. I typed in, I wanted fun, quick, fun facts. Okay. Americans today sit 6 to 8 hours more per day than people in the 1960s. So Americans today sit 6 to 8 hours more per day. That's a lot. Daily steps have dropped by 30 to 40% since the 1980s. Kids today spend 50% less time outdoors than kids in the 1970s. So kids today spend 50% less time outdoors than the kids in the 70s. Household chores used to bomb Oh, I'm sorry. Household chores used to burn 500 to 800 calories a day, and now they're more automated. I have that little Sharky vacuum cleaner. I'm guilty of that. I don't even vacuum. I turn Sharky on. Jack LaLanne was doing mobility flows on TV in 1951, decades before Instagram discovered it. So mobility isn't new. We just stopped moving. We really did. So, and moving in a simple way, I guess is what my point is. Like, I'm trying to explain to my peers right now, like doing mobility and those simple exercises. And like, you can do a leg lift standing, you can do it in a chair, and you can do it lying down. And say you're not into lying down yet, you do it standing, and then you work your way to where you're getting down on the floor easily and getting up, because that all matters, so you everything's gradual, I just found a few more notes. What's going on with the men right now? Because I did ask that, because I have been getting more men in my practice lately. So what's going on with the men? Why? Because they're sitting more, driving more, doing fewer physical tasks at work, experiencing more back, hip, and shoulder issues, and feeling the effects of stress and poor sleep. We were just talking about that, Steve. Feeling the effects of stress and poor sleep, because I was wondering why I was getting, and they're from different, because then blue collar versus white collar, I wrote. I'm so old school to even still be using those terms, right? But blue, I think of construction, and I'm getting older, so I'm in my 60s. The young guy, my peers tend to be more sedentary now. I mean, we're just getting older. But blue collar versus white collar, the gap is shrinking. Blue collar jobs today are less physical than they used to be. So power tools replace manual, machinery, trucks replace carrying, safety protocols reduce physical strain. So think about, now they have cars that you don't even have to drive anymore. Now they have ways to transport things within the factory. More time is spent operating equipment than using the actual body. And white collar jobs become even more sedentary. Remote work, where they're not even traveling to work, they might be at home. Meetings instead of movement. Long commutes, always on culture. So that always on thing is a problem, where men and women in that, the jobs aren't turning off. They're going on and on, and I'm guilty of that for sure. But my job is fitness, like, and hopefully everybody's in a job that they love so much, but some jobs, might be more stressful, and if you can't turn it off, that would be, I'm on the always on culture, but I get to research fun stuff like this. Men are finally being encouraged to care about their longevity, mobility, pain prevention, stress managing, emotional health. So that's why more men are entering my circle, because I asked chat that. I was like, why am I seeing more? And that's why they're caring about it now, and they should, rather than push through. I want to feel good and stay active for decades. And strength without mobility is a trap. And that's for all of us. It says men are realizing that, but I think we all are. My job doesn't move my body as much anymore. And everybody wants to play with the kids and the grandkids. I don't want to feel old at 45. I need someone who gets real life, more real life movement. It isn't always about everybody becoming an athlete. And that's another subject. I kind of want to touch on that in a future podcast, because I'm doing some research on that, because even though we talked about this culture today, there's a whole community that there's more athletes, that are more regular people, athletes that are turning more towards the CrossFit stuff. And my listeners know that, because we even have masters athletes on here that go to the games, but, that's a whole culture too. But I also want people to know that that's a choice. The mobility stuff with the leg lifts and Jack LaLanne, starting there is really important. That's it. And you can stay there. That's doable. That's healthy. That's what the body was made for. Going on is a choice. But getting just those mobility, moving the shoulders around, stuff like that, simple stuff like that is easy and definitely doable. So with that, I'll let everybody get back to their lives. And I'll repeat it again. I'm sorry, mobility isn't new. We just stopped moving, and we proved that. Your body doesn't care if the movement comes from chores, walking, or a fitness class. It just wants to move. So there's no judgment in what you do. It just wants to move. We're not trying to be flexible ballerinas or trying to age like athletes. You just want to have that normal mobility without pain. So with that, everybody, have the best day ever. Get moving. Take a 5-minute walk. Just make that an intention for today. And Steve, is there anything that you want to add in before I close out?
Nope. Sounds good. Try to everyone stay on a good sleep schedule.
Yeah, right. And know that you're not the only one. I hope that made you feel like this is a real problem for all of us, and definitely men, because it pinpointed it right in my research that men are struggling with that, with pain prevention and sleep. So asking for help for that, trying to get regulated. So if you need anything, Steve, you know where to call. All right, everybody, have a fantastic rest of your day.
All right, Sizzle.
Sizzle.